for Mad About Mini paper pads. I'm just going through my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for February. The theme for this month is vintage, and there's a lot of old stash in there. Old to me, so maybe not truly vintage, but old stuff from 2010, 2011, 2012, even just within different collections and companies. Like Wild Whisper, I pulled out some of their stuff. They don't go back that far, but I have some of their earliest collections, which date back to 2017. So kind of vintage Wild Whisper. That's how I interpreted the theme this month, because I don't really do the vintage style and I don't have a ton of product that is in that vintage style. But one thing I did notice is a lot of my Valentine's stuff is more vintagey, distressed, aged, that kind of thing. And it's also a lot of older product. So this paper, for example, is from Echo Park from the Yours Truly collection, which I think was from 2011. Yeah. Maybe 2012. So, older stash like that. And so just by accident, really, it wasn't intentional. The kit became vintage, but also Valentine's, which is totally okay with me, because to me, you can use Valentine's themed papers for a lot of different things. It doesn't have to just be about Valentine's Day. The colors work for all different kinds of papers, and just the images of hearts and I love you and that kind of stuff works for all kinds of things. So I was okay to kind of go heavy on the Valentine's stuff. So I've got a bunch of papers, and then I've got a bunch of sampler papers, because in your sample packs from Scrapbook and Cards Today, you usually get some 6x6 paper, sometimes a 6x8, but you get little samples of different collections, and so you don't get full 12x12 sheets. And so I have a lot of 6x6 pieces. And then I also had that paper pad from Maggie Holmes, which is definitely vintage for me, because it's probably way back from 2011, 2012. The front cover of it actually came off, so I couldn't see the date that's on it, but it's pretty old, pretty classic Maggie Holmes, and definitely has that vintage feel. There are a couple pages with Victorian plates on them. She does a lot of florals, and then a lot of aged and distressed type pieces. So that to me worked well with the vintage theme, and definitely works well for a layout about my sweet little daughter and my niece. And so I just really wanted to use this excuse to kind of go hyper girly and do lots of pinks and do lots of florals and all of that kind of stuff. And that is all coming from the mini papers. So the background is 12x12. Everything else is coming from the Maggie Holmes paper pad. I think I pulled 3 pieces out of there. And then a couple little pieces like this floral paper that I'm using, that's actually from a sampler pack. And I don't have the maker of that because I've mixed all those papers together. And so I don't have them with the card that they come with that tells me exactly who each of the manufacturers are. It's somewhere documented in my videos where I've done my sampler pack shares when I get them. So you could find that if you wanted to, but yeah, I don't have that piece of information for you. So on top of highlighting the 6x6 papers, I also really wanted to utilize both sides of the 12x12 paper, which you can see actually both sides work well. The pattern can be seen no matter how you orient the paper, and like I even turned it on its side to use it because the XOs in one of the little circles was going the wrong way. In my opinion, I thought it was going the wrong way. And so I flipped it. But the pattern on the back, that beautiful black and white pattern, you can also read it no matter how you might orient it as well. And that doesn't often happen with papers, where both patterns are versatile that way. So I really wanted to do the flipping technique where I was able to flip up one corner and you could see the pattern that's on the other side. I love doing that technique, and I've done it a few times, but you kind of have to have the right paper to be able to do it. And this definitely was that right paper. So I went ahead pretty early on and decided that's what I wanted to do in one of the corners. So I just chose that bottom right-hand corner. And that gave me the perfect spot to put the text paper that I chose, because even though I love including text in my layouts, I was a little bit worried that the text on top of the busy background might get lost, or just it might make things too busy and then your eye really isn't taking in a lot of what's going on. And so by flipping that corner up, it kind of creates a break between the busier pattern and the black and white pattern, which is busy in itself, but it's very different from the actual text paper. And so it definitely gives your eye a break. And then I did go ahead and layer one of the other pieces that I chose, like the full 6x6 piece that I chose. And then I ripped some of that beautiful black paper with the floral on it. And so it creates even more kind of more of a gap in between two really busy patterns. And so I think you can see the text paper much better and appreciate it. It says things like discover and wonderful and charming and you are my fave, things like that. So just really sweet little phrases and words. And I really wanted to include it, but I didn't want it to get lost in the background. So I love the way that that little corner ended up. It gave me the perfect place for the title and just, a nice break for your eye to kind of fall. And you can read the title and see all the cute little embellishments and stuff. So I love, love, love how that turned out. And then I used the other large 6x6 piece that I didn't cut and put it behind the photos, again, as a place to break up some of that busy background pattern. The floor is just sort of like a beautiful wood grain floor in a chevron pattern. So it reads as solid, even though there is detail and some interest in it, but it's definitely a contrast to the busy background. And so it's a good spot for your eye to take a break again and take in the pictures. And then the little corner that I cut off of the pink paper, I just popped that up there too. So there's just a little bit of that color kind of repeating. And I think the whole thing creates a bit of an arrow effect. So you start with the title down in the bottom, and then it kind of points you up towards the pictures, and your eye can kind of move through the layout in a diagonal fashion. So I think it turned out so great. I love the design. It's something that's really different for me. And then I figured if I was doing something different, then I can break some of my other kind of little rules. Again, I know I say it all the time, no rules in scrapbooking, but I tend to do really strong visual triangles and embellishment clusters in groups of 3. And I broke that for sure this time because I sort of have, I think, 4 clusters. But I used some pretty florals from the Maggie Holmes sticker book that I have to create little clusters around the photos. So that draws your eye into those 2 photos, and that kind of reminds you that those are the main part of the layout and the thing that I really want to highlight the most. And then I just threw a bunch of hearts in there. So there are heart stickers from the same sticker book. There are some gold puffy hearts. There is those little red sort of enamel hearts that I have. Larger kind of hot pink hearts that I have that are stickers. They're a plasticky kind of sticker, not really puffy, but not super flat. They're sort of plasticky. I got those from Dollarama, so I threw that in there. And just some flowers. I think 2 little flower stickers in each of those clusters. I wanted to make sure that I didn't introduce any pinks that weren't already in the background, so I didn't go too crazy overboard with the flowers, because a lot of the flowers in the Maggie Holmes sticker book have almost more of an orangey or yellowy tint to them instead of being more on the pinks and reds. So I just wanted to pick those particular flowers. And then I added those felt arrows. I thought those were really cute and kind of draw your eye to the title. And some sequins and some splatters, and that is it. That's my layout. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please check out all the links below and enjoy how we're all using our mini paper pads. And until next month, we'll see you soon. Happy scrapping. Bye.
Thanks to me. She button. Tell my channel.